Yes, your eyes do not deceive you. This is indeed a brand new TechRoyale. Apologies for my absence, but I have had an exceptionally good reason. I became a daddy for the first time, so obviously that's taken up a fair bit of my time, and I've been unable to carve out any for TechRoyale, but here I am again. We'll see how the update schedule goes this time. I make no promises. So, straight back into the thick of things. I've wibbled on about 4G in the past, and I'm going to do it again today. I'm also going to have a bit of a chat about the next generation of gaming, and because these two subjects are sort of so wide-ranging, I'm going to introduce TechRoyale's very first special guest. A very good friend of mine, James Fieldsend, who is almost as entirely mad about gadgets and technology as I am. Hi James, very nice to bring you on to TechRoyale, my very first special guest. It's quite exciting.
Honoured.
So, 4G in the UK. Since we've been off air, every other major mobile network has finally sort of put their stood up to the plate and said, okay, right, yes, fine, this is what we're going to do, and this is how much it's going to cost. James has a vested interest in the major mobile networks. He works for one of them, but we're not allowed to say which one. So all his opinions are, of course, his own. Vodafone have said something along the lines of, with Red, it's going to be an extra £5. And I think O2 have announced price plans somewhere along the way. But Vodafone have doubled the data allowance for the 4G plans, which I think is... I mean, EE, obviously, hideously expensive and, you know, not a lot of data. £36 a month they started out for half a gig, which, you know, this is 4G. This is supposed to change the way that we use data on mobile phones. It's supposed to encourage everybody to be using YouTube and Vine and, you know, how do you do that with half a gig of data?
Well, one thing I'd say first of all is half a gig is stupid straight away. It's,
yeah,
it's
given.
It's too little. I think people are a bit inclined to go crazy on this and say, I want at least 8 gig of data and I'm a mild user, we should be having 10, 20, whatever. It's not going to be that crazy. For 90% of your usage, you're probably going to use the exact same amount. So your Vines,
you
your
think?
Facebooks, your Twitters, uses the same amount of data, it's just going to happen faster.
So you don't think that people using 4G are going to be encouraged to do more? Because I noticed since I've switched to a smartphone plan with unlimited, I use... I've signed up for Google Play Music All Access, so I'm trying out that service, and it is very good. It's basically a lot like Spotify, but the catalogue kind of has sort of covered a lot of bases for me at the moment, and so I am pulling down on an unlimited plan at least a minimum, at least 1.5 gigs a month.
Right. Yeah. So this is it. You've got what I think the average user will have, which you will get the average user coming in of an afternoon and asking you for unlimited data because they think they need it. They don't.
Yeah, there is that perception. I'll quite happily give you that.
Yeah. I think there will be a big push, and you'll see this from certain networks, because EE at the moment are very much speed. You walk in and they talk about speed.
Yeah.
Look at their adverts, they talk about speed.
Yeah.
I think certain other networks may be talking about other experiences you might get. You might have noticed already, Vodafone are including, I think it's 3 months of a premium Spotify subscription with their 4G plans.
Yeah, and that's a really clever move there.
Absolutely, and O2 are giving away O2 tracks for a year, which is obviously a fairly a cheap thing for them in the first place. It's only like £2-3 a month anyway as it stands.
Right, and it's their service.
But they're giving it away for a year. So
yeah.
That's something that was never designed to impact too much on your data, but I think what both networks are giving a pretty clear message of is that they are saying what more things you can do with 4G. So while most of people's usage I think will remain very much the same, your Facebooks and your Vines, they're not going to use any more data. Your streaming video is going to start pulling a lot more data down.
Yeah.
So your iPlayers and your YouTubes, it's going to detect a higher quality stream and it's going to give you about 3 times the throughput.
Yeah, I mean, I would say there are people for who that like mobile video on the go hasn't really been a thing for them because they just haven't been able to get the 3G performance. They'll all of a sudden find that because it's, you know, using a different mast or something like that, that their 4G performance, if they take it up, will be fantastic, and they will out of nowhere start streaming video.
Absolutely, yeah.
So I I still think the data allowances are a little bit miserly. I think there should be no question of anything less than a gig, and you know, a gig should be the bare minimum, and you should be 2, 4, and then you know there should be 8 and 10 for not too much money. I mean, I'm on 3. I'll lay my cards out here, and I've gone with 3. I signed up for a 2-year contract on an HTC One, which is something else that's changed. I was on the Note 2 before, because of their promise for 4G to say that all it's going to be is exactly the same as 3G. It'll just be quicker. So if you've got unlimited data now, then you'll have unlimited data on 4G. Now, I honestly don't know how they're going to back that up.
The things I've heard from my higher ups, I'm not going to say who they are obviously, but they have suggested that that kind of business model is unsustainable. That's their words. I would be inclined to completely agree. I think you'll see people taking the mick. They will find ways around it, and they will absolutely take the mick wherever they can. So unlimited, unsustainable. High tariffs, like 8 gig, maybe 10, yeah, absolutely, I think that's where it needs to be. Bare minimum, yes, I absolutely agree, 1 gig, 500 megabytes is silly on 4G, but I think most of the networks have seen that, and you use the only one with a 500 meg plan as their minimum. Voda are 2 gig minimum, O2 are 1 gig minimum, 3 have been fairly quiet.
What you might find is that some things that you get in your contract now, you don't get on 4G. But that would almost fly in the face of what they've said. It's like, I get tethering and unlimited data.
Well, this is it. Those two things, as far as I'm concerned, are not compatible.
No.
O2 certainly, they removed their unlimited data and introduced tethering at the same time.
Yeah.
They are 2 incompatible things. You can't have them at the same time, as much as people would love that to be the case, because of people will just torrent things and they will take the mick and they will use huge amounts of data. I've seen friends do it when they've been given tethering and unlimited data. They just got yanked off the unlimited data as soon as they were given a moment's notice on movie streaming. So it's just not sustainable like that.
So it's going to be an interesting time. It's all sort of starting to happen. Is it end of this month or end of next month? I can't remember.
End of this month. For
end of this month. So hopefully by the time I next bring you a TechRoyale, we will have at least Vodafone and O2 live with 4G, and some of you may have opted for those services. So if you've got it in mind to sign up for Voda or O2, or in fact if you're already an EE subscriber on their 4G plans, please sound off in the comments. Let me know your feedback. Let me know what you're thinking about doing and why. Now, let us move on to a subject that is even closer to your heart than mobile phones. I'm also wearing a similarly amusing t-shirt for the same reason. Next generation consoles. Now, I think we'll both have to put our declare our lack of impartiality on this subject, because we will both be standing outside various retailers on the November the 29th to pick up our pre-ordered Xbox One. Friday, so take an extra day off work, 3-day weekend of sitting on your backside and playing games. Woohoo! I was kind of hoping, when I saw the Xbox reveal, and I saw a few, because the PlayStation reveal happened fairly early on, apart from you didn't know what the damn thing was going to look like, but there's a lot of technical information in there. So when they said that the Xbox One was also going to be x86, I was kind of like, fantastic. You know, architecturally, let's get that word out there, both systems are very, very similar. They're both x86, they've both got 8 cores, they're both based on AMD systems on chip, with integrated AMD graphics architecture, and they've both got 8 gig of RAM. But because of the similarity, both of the fan bases out there have immediately been taking up camp, taking pops at the differences. And the PlayStation 4, from a technical perspective, arguably is slightly superior. It has more rendering cores, it's got 18 as opposed to 12, and it has better RAM subsystem, it's GDDR5 as opposed to DDR3, and it's kind of like the two consoles have almost switched positions as well with their marketing message, because Microsoft are taking a very much, this is going to be the heart of your living room, which is exactly what Sony was saying when they brought the PlayStation 3 out. It's like, this does DLNA, this does Blu-ray, you know, and it's got a web browser on it. Now Microsoft are saying this does networking and online TV, and it's got a Blu-ray player, and you know, and it's got an internet browser and it's got IE10.
Of course, Sony have been very much
Games.
Yeah.
John Carmack.
I was going to say the exact same thing.
Yeah.
John Carmack of id fame says it basically doesn't matter.
Yeah, so they're both basically pretty similar.
They're close enough. I mean, it's certainly been closer than any generation of consoles so far.
Yeah.
Certainly last generation, what with the weird architecture differences.
They're both Power PC though, but still, it's a. So the Xbox has got 3 full fat cores, PlayStation's got 1 and 6 or 7 little ones. So
Last time Xbox used dynamically assigned memory, and the PlayStation didn't. They cut it in the same amount, cut in half between each one. This time they've both gone for 8 gig of dynamically assigned, slightly different memory.
Yeah.
They've both gone for very, very, very similar processors and graphics units. So yeah, it's so close. I think that these tiny little differences really don't matter.
I've already put my pre-order money down, but I'm hoping that really the similarities between the two consoles will lead to a fairly level playing field. You will get a very similar experience between the two when playing multi-platform titles. No longer it'll be the case that one platform is the lead and the other one gets the phoned-in port. Yeah, I mean, so I'm going to this generation with a brand loyalty, although when I saw the PlayStation 4 reveal, I was hugely impressed with the Killzone demo. It seemed seamless. It appeared seamless from the cutscene, which was phenomenal, straight into the gameplay, and the way that the non-player characters moved around was, I could see in that. I mean, okay, yeah, eye candy, shiny, 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 but the 360 and the PS3 are still pretty damn shiny. What I'm looking for at this next generation is the improved artificial intelligence, and this is where potentially the X-Bone, and I love that name for it, that's what it's called in this household, could have quite a lead in the future.
Absolutely,
And this is only going to be first party titles or exclusive titles, but if they leverage the cloud architecture. Now this is a real unknown thing and you can't put your finger on it at the moment. It's the cloud, you know. Will a huge chunk of offline processing give Microsoft the chance to build like a platform exclusive Morpega?
Well, if you've everything pretty much that they're announced so far is a Morpega, almost kind of. It's if you have a look at even the non-exclusive titles, so like Destiny.
But that's cross-platform. Yeah.
Is exactly, it's cross-platform, but that's going to be a persistent online world.
Yeah.
And
supposedly with a great single-player experience in it.
Supposedly, we'll find out.
I mean, you know, let's face it, that's the unicorn. I generally don't do too much online gaming or play too many open world games because I got a very limited time to game, so I want to get my quota of story out of a game, which is why I like things like Bioshock Infinite, Game of the Year, because, you know, it rewards you with a goodly amount of story and the path is laid out in front of you. But if Destiny can deliver something like that, then wow, it'll be as much of a genre, as much of a generational statement for this generation as the original Halo was on the original Xbox. We can't call it the Xbox One anymore. Yet again, the fanboy wars have exploded all over the internet, and it's just absolute carnage. Microsoft did not help themselves by miserably failing to understand the vision behind the digital platform and the pre-owned strategy on Xbox One. So now everyone thinks that Microsoft's just trying to screw everyone with the Xbox One, and if you think that Sony wouldn't have done that if they could have got away with it, then you're exceptionally naive. Companies
absolutely
like making money.
This is what everyone forgets. The Xbox, Microsoft rather, Sony, Nintendo, they're all companies. They're not people. They're not your mate. They are there to take your money, probably give you a good experience, but that's only so you'll come back and they can take more of your money. It's not that they hate you, obviously, but they want your money, and if they can get their developers on side and they can get more exclusive titles out, they can draw more people to their platform, and that would have been a lot easier for Microsoft if they'd managed to gain traction with a lot of the digital content stuff they wanted to do. And
it does strike me that when Microsoft felt this backlash, rather than try and work it through, there was almost like a petulant child kind of approach. Like, right, you don't know what's good for you, we'll just do it as it was before and you don't get any of the good stuff. So, it's, yet again, we stand in front of another generation of gaming, and all we can really say at this point in time is going to be interesting. Sony is very much a very games focused message. Microsoft is giving a whole living room sort of focus, and they are absolutely desperate to get that input one on the TV, which is why there's the pass-through on the telly. Supposedly it's not going to work with UK providers at launch, but they're very quickly going to sort that out. I'm looking forward to talking to my telly. It's like Xbox, watch The Simpsons. Really, really looking forward to that, especially if the Kinect voice recognition is as good as it's been shown to be in the videos that have been out there. We could ramble on about this probably for most of the rest of the evening, but we've got Gamescom in Germany next.
Oh, like now, basically, yeah.
Yeah, there'll be a few more reveals there along the way. So, that's all for this episode of Tech Royale. You might see me a little bit sooner than you did between the last video and this one, so I always make some comment about how I'm going to keep on the update frequency and then end up, shooting myself in the foot. So I'm just going to leave that one well alone. So I will just say thanks for keeping with the subscribing. I only need another 18 subscribers to hit YouTube's new 100 subscriber barrier for live streaming. So if I can get to 100 subscribers by the end of this month, I will do the next episode of Tech Royale live.
Ooh.
So help, share, tell your friends. Get me over 100 by the end of August, and I'll do the next one live. And I'll run my first Tech Royale competition. I will give away some classic piece of technology that I've got in my giant loft of awesome. So spread the word, please, people. If you'd like to tell my 80 odd subscribers, you run your own blog as well?
Yes, it's called Cobalt Tech. It's on Tumblr, tumblr.cobalttech.com. I've got a Twitter which is Cobalt Blue with the 0. I talk about on the blog mostly the two things that we've just spent ages talking about. So mobile and stuff like that. I'm probably going to be doing some more blogs on the Nokia Lumia 1020 coming up because I'm hoping to get one.
Oh, nice.
Not given to me, I'm going to buy it because I like it. And 4G, of course, because that's a huge topic right now. And I talk quite a lot about next generation consoles and this generation consoles and just gaming in general. So, yes, absolutely, please go check that out.
Excellent stuff. Finally, if you haven't seen the Humble Origin bundle, it is 8 games for a ridiculously low price. It all goes to charity. EA are not being dicks.
Shock.
I know. It's some kind of bizarre, bizarro world. But get out there and download those games. It's dead easy to do, and you get Steam codes for 6 of them if you don't want to install Origin, which I completely understand because it's horrible. So yes, that's all for charity, and as a gamer, it really is the greatest thing to do. You get awesome games, and the money goes to great causes. Anyway, Humble Origin bundle. Check the links down below, and go and donate as a gamer because it's just fantastic. So that's just about it. So take care, everybody. Tell your friends, and I'll speak to you soon. Oh, and bring back Games Master.